recording with Dr. Andrew Huff on Monday, February 20th, 2023 at 12:04 p.m. Eastern time. You were just on here. You're the author of The Truth About Wuhan. It's a great book. Put it in the description. Go follow his Twitter. That's also in the description. But I saw you, not that it's important, but I was eating chili nachos the other night like a fat ass, and I was just scrolling through Twitter because I've recently been reinstated, and I was just looking at yours, and you retweeted something from Glenn Beck about like Moderna, Frankenstein Corona, Ralph Barrick, all the way back to what, 2012 or 2015. And I was just, and that's kind of the beauty of having a podcast is whenever I want to dig deeper, I'm like, oh wait, I'll just talk to him. I'm like, it's great. I get to disguise it as a podcast, but I'm really just asking my own questions because it's better than Google. So can you kind of go into that and explain what that is, what that was?
Sure. It all bleeds together in my mind, but I think I remember the tweet that you're referencing.
Yeah.
And it was actually from a Glenn Beck special that aired, I think, over a year ago. And Charles Rixey, who was a former United States Marine Corps weapons of mass destruction expert, was the technical expert that assisted the Glenn Beck show on Blaze TV with assembling the episode. And I forgot that, and I didn't know where the clip was taken from. And it's like, oh, I was right about all this. And then Charles chimed in. He's like, yeah, it was the episode I helped with. And not that I remember every 15-second clip, but
Yeah.
it's just very simple facts. Moderna patented a number of different genetic sequences, which can be found in the wild type strain of SARS-CoV-2. In science, we say wild type, meaning usually referring to something that naturally emerges. And now my dog's going nuts, and I bet
You're
my
good.
book orders are showing up. I ordered a couple hundred copies of books to sign, and I think they're showing up right now.
You can go grab it if you want.
No, I think my wife's taking care
All
of it.
right. All
Hopefully.
right. Beautiful.
So, anyways, so we have this wild type strain that's circulating, and if you go into this database called GenBank, which is owned or housed by the National Institute of Health, there's a tool called BLAST, and you can look for specific genetic sequences. Well, some really interesting things happen when you put the wild type strains genetics into the BLAST tool. It returns a bunch of patented sequences from Moderna.
Jesus Christ. I mean, are we just so desensitized at this point that people are like, it's like when people are like, all right, the CIA probably killed Kennedy. I'm like, that's not something we can just like brush off. And it's like, all right, it probably came from a lab. It was probably a bioweapon as part of China's coup to take over the world. Like, I get it. And it's like, uh, so what are the implications of that then? Like that Moderna created COVID, or at least something behind Moderna, using Moderna as a facade? Like what are the implications? Obviously all speculation, but legally speculation, but
Well, it's a series of unfortunate events. So when I worked at EcoHealth Alliance, when we were out collecting coronavirus samples globally, that genetic material made it into these databases and was shared with people like Dr. Ralph Barrick. Dr. Ralph Barrick then shares that information with companies like Moderna. And that's how this works. I mean, so this goes to show you that everything I've been saying about how the agent was co-developed with the medical countermeasure is true. And that's what I've been pointing out. And the sad reality there is that you cannot develop a bioweapon unless you're also developing the medical countermeasure, because it's really dumb to go make a biological weapon unless you have a way to counter it. Now, it falls into this gray area, what's called dual use research of concern. So you can tell the international community that if I'm doing gain of function work, it's for the purpose of making vaccines. And that's what they told everyone.
yeah, I mean, it's like we're trusting, yeah, we're trusting like the banker to not steal any money. It's like I get it in theory, right? You take a potential deadly virus, or at least disrupting virus, use gain of function to amplify it, so you can it's almost like zooming in on a picture. It's like, let's amplify it so we can really see what really see what these I guess elements of it do, and create a vaccine. Man, we could make a whole lot of money with this vaccine. It's like, yeah, I don't know. We're just developing nuclear weapons because they work really well, but we might drop them on our enemies, just like footnote. So I guess that's what these are the important facts. I mean, and the rest and the intent, it really is just speculation, which sucks. But I mean, is it really just a money grab? Is there a military aspect behind it? Is this a nation state? Was this us pinning it on China? Is this China's? Is this some supranational? Is this World Economic Forum? Is this what do you think it is? And just again, all speculation, but
It just depends on who you ask, and every time you ask that those types of questions, it matters the specific person, group, or organization that you're asking it to. So it's definitely a money grab for this. I have the hiccups
yeah,
for the
you're good.
scientists
You're good, dude. I've
for
had
the
hiccups on
scientists
here.
that
It's
are
the
involved
worst.
in the research. So they stand to benefit by having more money, more funding, more research. Okay, and they can keep sort of wagging that dog. I was involved in that game. If you ask the globalist types, so the George Soros of the world, the Gates, those kind of people, there's a huge market. There's no bigger market than vaccine technology or something that you're going to force every individual to take, and that then with huge profit margins paid for by governments around the planet. That's essentially what happened.
Yeah.
Now, then, if you want to get into, well, what do the global, the states, the countries, what do they have to gain from this? Well, you could say to exert fear, control, consolidate power, those kind of things happen. So I still don't believe it was some master plan how this happened. I just think everyone took advantage of a situation with information that they had before everybody else. I mean, it strongly looks like all the powerful people in the world figured out that SARS-CoV-2 had leaked out of the laboratory in Wuhan in late summer, early fall of 2019, and they all take advantage of the situation.
Yeah, no, I've had hiccups on this podcast only on like I think two or three occasions, and it just sucks because you're like it's the worst. No, I get it. It's my heart goes out to you, sir. But yeah, I
Maybe I
think
need to hold my breath and like get upside down here or something.
I don't know. It's all witch medicine. Just it's kind yeah. We have like biomolecular CRISPR like nano molding to make these vaccines, and it's what about hiccups? And it's like hold your breath, like walk counterclockwise, and wave to a tree or some shit. None of it works. The only thing I've ever found that works that gets rid of hiccups is to get shit faced and go to sleep. And it's kind of it's a nuclear option. You can't really do it at noon on a Monday. That's the only thing I've ever found is it's the thermonuclear option. You just get blasted and go to bed because it doesn't stop the hiccuping. You just no longer care because you're shit faced, and then you just go to sleep and you wake up without it. It's my only solution. So maybe I'm making an argument for this gain of function research. It's like, yeah, we got to move forward in the world. We can't be doing this witch doctor shit with leeches and ferns. Like, yeah, I don't know,
Well,
but
maybe the mRNA platform is the witch doctor shit, though. When you
oh
think about it, I
yeah,
mean, think about all the different medical treatments that we look back at 40, 50, 100, 200 years ago, and we're like, oh my God, that was crazy. I can't believe we did that to people. And I definitely think people feel that way about mRNA.
oh oh yeah, I know. I have that feeling that they're gonna look back in like 67, like the same way we look back at like babies on the dashboard of a car in the 50s. Dad's got a cocktail, mom's got a cigarette and she's pregnant, and everyone's like, they just were just trucking. No one gives a shit. Like, if a cop saw that, the cop would wave, like, hey, Bill, like he'd be drinking with his baby on the dashboard too. And like the glass wasn't that safety glass that shatters into like rounded edges. It's like, no, you'll just bleed out. The steering wheel's made of chrome stripped from like a tank from the war 5 years earlier. And yeah, I think we're gonna look back at that and they're gonna be like, yeah, they had this mRNA shit, and people were just pulling blood clots out of their arm like 3 feet long. It looked like rubber bands. They're gonna look back at this the same way we look. There's a great book called the Butchering Art by Lindsay Fitzharris about Joseph Lister in like the 1880s, 1890s, and he's in medical school in London, and it's just horrific. Like never washing your doctor's coat, just putting it on it stiff with blood and mucus, like sawdust everywhere to pick up the smell. Like one of the like the interns like had a severed hand in his back pocket that he forgot about. He was like, "Oh, forgot that," and then like you read about it, and you're like, "What the fuck?" But I have a feeling I think you're right. That might be how we look back at this, and why did it work? And we're going to look back the same way we look at like oil barons and be like, yeah, well, they bought up all the media and the politicians, and it was a barbaric time, but it kind of feels like it can't be that because we have flat screens and you can order tacos on Uber Eats. And but that is probably, I think you're right. That is, the hiccups have served a purpose. They have,
Well, the biggest problem though is that the lack of engagement from society with what's going on, and I think that's what you were alluding to earlier, is that here we have all these things that we can prove, and yet there's no action being taken.
what's going to happen is it's going to happen to something's going to happen to someone with a lot of money. Like Steve Kirsch, who's just kind of declared war on all of this. He invented the optical mouse. What's going to happen is, like Elon Musk's kid's going to die or something from myocarditis, or a senator's wife or something. Something's going to flip, and it's going to be someone with a lot of power that you don't fuck with. And all of a sudden, this impenetrable shield of, all the media in lockstep and pushing this thing with Pfizer, something's going to happen to someone. I mean, it'd be biblical. It'd be like when the Pharaoh's first son is killed or something, and that's when he lets the people go. That's probably what it's going to be.
Well, and I think that's happening. And the interesting case, to the extent that it's true, is the Thai princess. Have you heard about this?
Vaguely, somewhere in the periphery of my consciousness. Enlighten me.
So the Thai princess, I think she received her booster or second shot and had a stroke. I believe collapsed. Had been in critical care for a long period of time, and Thailand is one of these places that, because it's a monarchy, I guess, can go after Pfizer. And I don't know if this is in the realm of conspiracy or to what extent this is actually true, but it did seem like, from what I read, there's some validity to it.
Interesting times that we're just going to champion the monarchs. But I mean, really, I mean, that's
isn't it strange?
Yeah,
we're relying on monarchs and
yeah.
oligarch type states and nations to do the right thing,
That
and
is
not the United States, not the Republic.
the Thai princess. Yeah, Elon Musk, he's the one doing the Twitter files. Like,
Well, I believe his brothers, or he had made some tweets or some comments that a number of people in his social circle had been harmed by the jabs.
oh yeah,
So he did comment on that publicly.
yeah, no, and that's another thing is, yeah, he got the booster and said he felt like he was dying. Yeah, that's probably in part. And didn't he say like he lost one of his children to the LGBTQ woke like propaganda, quote unquote, lost, like doesn't talk to him anymore. It's like not the beautiful child he remembers, just some self-hating, blue hair, whatever through your nose. I mean, whatever, go for whatever. But he's just, some people speculate this is why he's sort of going all in on this thing that is really doing nothing for him financially. It's anything, if anything, he's kind of slowly turning into like a Trump 2.0 in terms of people just frothing at the mouth with hatred. I personally don't care. I think he's funny. I like his memes. But that is kind of what it is they fucked with the wrong person. And that's probably what it will continue to be. And there is a beauty to, people being NPCs and normies and all that good fun talk that the kids are using and that they don't think for themselves. Is once you realize that, you realize it's not you versus 99% of people. It's like 5% of people trying to get the word out versus 5% of people who have a vested interest in it saying covered up, and 90% of people who just go where the perceived majority is. So you really only need to tip the seesaw a little bit. And then the same people that will take the jab unwittingly are the same ones that, once it is fashionable to question it and fashionable to call it bad and fashionable for gasp for them to start calling out pharmaceutical corporations like they have been for the last 70 fucking years that they just managed to turn off. The Occupy Wall Street people just love Pfizer now. That's what it will be. That will be the tipping point. And then they will look back and they'll say, how did this happen? We never knew. And no, we did know. There was a lot of people saying that. And yeah, I don't know.
Well, what's so strange about it to me is comparing to Occupy Wall Street. So those people actually had insight into a complex financial issue in society. And where did that insight or that capability to have that insight go when dealing with drugs from convicted felon pharmaceutical companies?
Yeah, cognitive dissonance. I mean, that's really
why on that issue? Why on that issue? Because if you look at the
yeah.
history of the anti-vaxxer movement, when in defining anti-vaxxer pre-2019, which is a person that wouldn't get any vaccine, period. Those people were typically were lefties, progressives in enclaves in Oregon and Washington, had large populations of anti-vax communities. Also, left-leaning Muslim populations in the United States typically had these anti-vaxxer strongholds, and now they're the ones out screaming, you need to be boosted 3-4 times. I mean, that's the insanity to me. I've witnessed this measurable shift in a population we used to study for these characteristics of these traits.
Just as wild are like traditionally conservative people, myself included. A lot of the people I interview, former spec ops guys who are now like they're like real back in the DOD and the intelligence agent, the traditionally like, yeah, just go blow them up. Who gives a shit? Bomb them, Geneva Convention, that's just a suggestion, whatever. It's now a 180. They're like questioning it's like a conservative thing now to question, like, is the government, are the powers that be, maybe this isn't for our own good. Maybe we do need to demilitarize the police. It is kind of an odd clown world of everything is upside down. I don't know, why is that though? Man,
Well, it's the same reason why people, I think, go the complete 180 on vaccines, and why people will change positions over time with the mRNA jabs. You can work in law enforcement, the military, the intelligence community, be a part of the deep state like I was, and then eventually it comes out to get you, and you already get someone for not justified purposes, and it pisses you off. And when that happens, then you start to work against it. And the people who used to work in those systems are highly effective working against it because they know the rules, the process, and the levers and the pins to pull.
yeah, I think that this like specific phenomena, and I'm just bullshitting, but probably a mixture of like virtue signaling, like I'm doing the right thing, and I think a lot of it was cognitive dissonance. I won't get the Trump vax. I think that was Kamala Harris, and then once the guy switches, it's a complete 180. Conservatives are Trump's a genius, warp speed, and now they're the most against it, and I think it's probably like a mixture of that, probably highly partisan. It's also a very simple thing to do to then elevate yourself, put a mask on and get the jab. Now you got nothing going for you, but you're noble. You're saving grandma. You're a GI returning from World War II now. Look at me. You get your ticker tape parade because you got a booster and a donut. I would imagine it's probably a combination of that. It's sleek, it's new, it's mRNA, it's kind of like the Tesla of shots in perception. Probably that. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I mean, I essentially fell for the maybe the Tesla shot angle. So I didn't do enough research when it first came out. I assumed that my peers or people in my field had figured it out and it was working. I'm like, yeah, why would they lie in clinical trials, or why would they falsify data? I mean, that didn't even cross my mind. And fast forward, and of course, those were the things that happened, and I feel stupid for not doing my research. Never again.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, I would have gotten it. I'll be the first to admit I thought COVID was like the end of the world. I was like, yeah, well, it's like I made it to 30. I was like, I had a good run. Like I took it just as much as anyone. I'm okay with admitting that. It's okay to admit you got it duped. It's a shitty feeling, but the Mark Twain quote, it's easier to fool a man than to convince a man he's been fooled. What got me to not take it is I just remember like offhand, I vividly remember like laying in bed reading an article before I had to go to work. And it just said somewhere, something slipped through like the censorship cracks. I think it was on like CNN or something. And it was just like, no, it doesn't actually stop contract or prevent contraction or transmission. And I just took it as like I was like, oh, well, I'm probably not going to get it. Not because it's new and, I don't know if it's dangerous or not. It was just a matter of like, I'm not going to get in my car and go spend 15 minutes. That's 15 more minutes I could play Xbox. It was just a matter of like, I'm not going to do I have to go? No, the class is voluntary. I'm not attending. It's just whatever and whatever. And I brought it up at work. I was working at a liquor store. And like the visceral response from people was shocking to me. It was a little unnerving. And I think I posted it online. And like lifelong friends were just like werewolves under the moon, just a switch was just flipped, and they're just, why won't you get? And I was like, what the fuck is this? It was like pulling out a cross in front of a demon or something. I was just, if anything, it was almost just like kind of amused. It's like, going up with baby, like I got your nose. Like I was like, what is this? And as I kept kind of digging deeper and doing episodes and getting banned, I was like, something's fucked. And yeah, I don't know. I think the cover up is in full swing now, and the cover ups never last.
Well, it's
Eventually,
unraveling, and it's accelerating. When you start seeing people and doctors like myself on Fox News saying the jab is harming people and it's barely effective, if it's effective at all. I mean, that's one of the first key linchpins in pulling the whole thing apart, is people realizing the truth that the mRNA jabs don't work, and that they harm people. And then as that unravels, then people are going to question, well, where the heck did this come from? That'll be the next rational question. And they're going to say, okay, well, this came out of a laboratory. Well, who made it? And why did they make it? These are just natural, simple questions. And as people start being curious and their minds open, it just continues to unravel. And I think it's accelerating. And that's why you've heard all this talk about World War III, the spy balloons, all this crazy, stupid things going on, being discussed in the media, which are not of consequence. I mean, I pointed this out right away. The Chinese spy balloon that the U.S. decided to just shoot down all of a sudden. And that's a joke.
yeah,
NORAD can track every little object flying around the planet, and this balloon just didn't magically show up in the United States one day. It took a week to get here. It means they watched it and they shot it down to make a dog and pony show out of it, which is a psyop.
yeah.
And I don't think they have many tricks left to pull. I mean, they're certainly running out. I mean, the only one that it seems like they're trying to push now of someone, the World War III mongers. And I think the global tolerance for a world war is at an all-time low. It's not like there's popular support in all these places for a world war. The only place that seems to have popular support for world war is Ukraine, or the people of Ukraine. And everyone else is basically putting up their middle finger saying, we don't want this.
Yeah. Yeah. No, the distraction is getting amplified, and eventually it's not going to outweigh it, right? It's so long as like you can sacrifice something small or something with a value of 1 to cover up something with a value of 10, it's deemed profitable in I guess cover up currency. But now we're going to risk World War III, which has a value of 100, to cover up something with a value of 10. Now you're trying to get more people to ruin the whole thing, and eventually they're going to turn on each other and be like, why don't we just hang the hypothetically, I don't need the FBI coming here. Why don't we hang the people that did this? Eventually, you're gonna have enough people going, if we just throw these people to the mob, this whole thing can stop. And I think that's probably what it's gonna be. Is they're gonna venture out into World War III, and a lot of
And
people.
I think it's happening. So I think the people are being thrown to the wolves. So the lawsuits and the other things that I'm aware of going on against the COVID co-conspirators, that's basically driving wedges between all these people. They've lawyered up, and the government will have to decide at some point who they're actually going to sacrifice, because the current or the status quo has not been accepted. So that means they're going to have to give up some people. The COVID commission, I get the sense that the people that they put on it, specifically Congressman Brad Wenstrup from Ohio, he's a Army Reserve colonel. He's a surgeon. And I question how much independence he can have as a commissioned officer in the Reserve Corps of the Army, and also while chairing the COVID investigation commission, because all roads lead back to the Department of Defense and the intelligence community. So my gut feeling is that COVID investigation committee might be trying to isolate the damage or compartmentalize it just to NIH and Anthony Fauci. The USAID is going to get thrown under the bus because they've already doing that, and that's based on the evidence that I brought forward in my book and handed to them directly on the Senate side. It was actually sort of interesting to see most of the senators using my talking points from my book. So I guess, yes, finally, like, big impact. That's what I've been going for this whole time. That's what I really care about, is I just want the investigations to happen, but I also want those investigations to be real. I don't want them to be dog and pony shows. If we have real problems, we need to fix it. And, for whatever reason, the Department of Defense has got its undies in a bunch over this, and it's such a big behemoth of an government agency and entity. I don't think there's like any real harm that could come to most of the people who work there. I think the real jeopardy is that it could suffer significant funding cuts, and maybe DoD could use maybe like a 50% reduction in its budget. I mean, our military is so advanced and so much bigger than all the other countries in the world. I mean, we can fight 3 or 4 Chinas at once. Do we really need to have that capability at all times? Are we that worried about our global security and our standing in the world, where we need to be heavily burdened with this debt and taxation to pay for that? I mean, that's the real issue. So why not reduce our spending on national security, the intelligence community, the FBI, the Department of Defense, and save our country for future generations? Because that's what it comes down to. We can't be spending all our money on safety-focused security issues, trying to prevent every little nasty thing from happening, especially when these organizations are obviously so well funded that they are being used to basically violate American constitutional rights. So I think that's a good indicator if the government, the federal government, has enough time to go screw with Americans because there's not enough real security work to do. Maybe they need a budget cut.
Yeah. And I think what they will do is it's going to the bar with like 10 friends, and one of the guys is too drunk, and the bouncer's like, y'all can't come in. Doesn't matter if he's your friend. Eventually you're like, hey bro, this is on you. Like, we're going in. All the girls are in there. Like, well, I'll get you a cab. But no, you're throwing your buddy under the bus just to go into a bar. Yeah, they're gonna go, hey man, this whole military industrial complex, intelligence community, global hegemon behemoth, this party we've been running for the last 100 years, we're gonna let Fauci bring it down. You have a bunch of guys going, fuck this nerd. Right? They're gonna break his glasses and take his lunch.
Yeah.
Are you surprised? Are you surprised the demons backstab? What? All right. I mean, all the Nazis sold out all the ones below them so that they could come to America. And people are like, that's so brutal. I'm like, they're Nazis. Of course. Yeah, the people that rose to the top of this machine didn't get there by, being there for the bros. No, they're gonna sell them out.
Well, and if you go look at your typical bureaucrat, most of these agencies, they've got a half, their white shirt is turning sort of stained yellow. They're, 40 pounds overweight. They're eating McDonald's at their desk, over their crappy government issued laptop, which can barely do anything because there's so many French fries mashed between the keys. I mean, this is the reality of government employment. Unfortunately, I mean, I think that's an accurate representation of probably 75% of the population of government employees. And, these people are fat, lazy, don't want to work hard. And, they're going to do whatever the administration tells them to, because, God forbid they do the right thing and rock the boat a little bit and have to actually do some work as a bureaucrat. Because, when I worked for the government, there was often times where I didn't agree with either a mandate or order or directive or a policy. And as a bureaucrat, you have quite a bit of flexibility, and you can maneuver around things or try to push back, slow down the process, and you can do it all in a very professional way, as the system allows you to, and as it's sort of intended to believe that bureaucrats are supposed to behave. But it's just much easier for people now to just go along with all the stupidity and not rock the boat, especially if it ties into their social agenda, which I think is becoming, the bureaucracy now is just, it seems like it's really politically tied, where I think a lot of bureaucrats used to sort of operate, try to be apolitical of either party. And you'd sort of have strategic alliances, but now it seems like they're just, part of one party or the other. And a lot of government employees, I think, tend to be Democrats because of government union issues. And the Democrats tend to be more favorable towards federal employees. And I think this is why the intelligence community, the FBI, the CIA are now largely, it seems like they're more left leaning, at least in the way that they're executing policy and how they're arresting people and doing things, which is just ridiculous, because you think at some point they'd realize that that's not good for the country. But, these are strange times.
Yeah, you're gonna have a bunch of jocks giving Fauci a wedgie. That's how this ends. That's how this ends. Is they're gonna throw him to the wolves. They don't give a shit. Yeah, that's how
Well,
it.
what about the scientists though? Like Peter Hotez and some of these other people, the Ralph Barracks. I mean, what happens to those people?
They'll throw out as many as the people that need to be thrown out. They'll and probably not one more. You'll take the most valuable and you'll keep them. It'll be like it'll be a weird version of Operation Paperclip. Like we won't actually be taking because they're all here already, but we'll be taking like the best and kind of putting them aside, and then just under we're gonna feed them to the wolves and get the people to shut up, right? I mean, you do a Nuremberg, you literally do a Nuremberg, but the worst traitors you hire, and then you might have some weird vendetta things like the Mossad going and getting Eichmann. That might happen, which would be kind of badass, but I think that's probably what will happen. They'll throw away just as many people as needed and not a single one more. I don't doubt that at all. It'll take a little time. Probably, I don't know, maybe later this year, maybe next year, maybe 2024. It'll happen. And then they'll also do it. It'll tie into some campaign about cleaning up corruption or something. It'll be perfectly timed for the 2024 election. Yeah, of we need to undo this. These are Trump's scientists or something like that's what it'll be.
Yeah, I'd agree with that assessment. I think they have to get it done by the end of 2023.
Yeah.
Nobody wants us going into an election year because uh, it'll be chaos. I mean, can you think about how the smear ad campaigns are going to run? Because I think it'd be like you're pro death jab, you're pro Fauci, and it wouldn't matter if you're a Democrat or Republican because the Uniparty has agreed on most of these issues. If you really look at what's went down, the Republicans and the Democrats were both harassing whistleblowers.
Yeah.
It wasn't just the Democrats doing it; it was everybody in Washington D.C. because they didn't want Pfizer to lose their Pfizer money or campaign ad money from those large biotech companies coming against them. So it's not like the Republicans are conservatives anymore. I mean, they're really not. It's actually almost laughable. I was thinking about this morning, and I mean, it's probably start writing my Substack this week because all my crazy interview schedule has finally died down. And I was thinking about this: is that I don't know what the future of the Republican Party looks like, but it is not whatever the Republican Party is today, and I don't think the Democratic Party is going to maintain whatever it is either. I think there's going to be a transformation among our generation of adults, which is probably going to transform these parties because the stupid crap that they support is it's not attainable. And so what happens? And I think what we'll see from both parties is a shift towards libertarianism. And there's libertarian issues on the left and there's libertarian issues on the right. The real purist libertarians see where those issues, which typically be aligned with both parties. Specific examples, drug legalization. That'd be typically with the left, right? But hardcore libertarians are all for it. But then you have more other conservative type libertarian values of, well, we want small limited government. So I think the silver lining here is that because of the craziness that we went through with lockdowns, the Operation Warp Speed, the creation of SARS-CoV-2, you can see how the government can get things so wrong from so many different political angles, and how that also ties into the national security state and defense state. I think both sides of the fence in the few years, as older people die off and people become wise to what happened, will want similar reductions in military defense spending, national security, and also policies that favor civil liberties.
Think you're gonna run?
I don't know. I
think you should. Why not?
I've heard that. The problem is I need money to run.
Yeah.
And I'm not making too many friends on the Republican side because I keep calling them out for the stupid things that they're doing. So I was invited to speak or testify at the House Permanent Select Committee on COVID. And this is after I received, did you see the letter I received from Russia?
No.
Okay, so you're unaware of this. So 2 weeks ago, I received a letter from the Russian government asking for my assistance to help investigate the Ukrainian biolabs and the origin of COVID.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, real serious. And then they sort of threatened that I could be held accountable under Russian law if I didn't agree to do it. but I was very diplomatic about it. I had to respectfully decline. I'm a former top secret clearance holder that used to and actually helped write some of these proposals at these laboratories and things. I cannot do this without U.S. government proposal, because there's the January 6th treason, and then there's real treason, and that's and then that's the real treason kind. So I'm not going to engage in that. And I had to notify the FBI and other government agencies, which I did because I play by the rules.
Yeah.
And so why that's important is that tweet went viral. So I think it had 2-3 million views real quick, like in a matter of days. It said, why hasn't my own government asked me to help with the investigation? Then all of a sudden I was contacted by staffers from this committee who had already been speaking to the past year, and they invited me to testify. Well, then the next thing is I hit the chair, Congressman Brad Wenstrup, with an attack, saying that, I called him out as being an Army Reserve officer, and I don't believe that he is the right person to lead the investigation on this, the origin of SARS-CoV-2. And I'm sure that made him look bad. I also called him out on the fact that I notified him that a national security data set was stolen from my house, and he took no action when he was working on the House Intelligence Committee. So the Republicans want to pretend like they're, pro America, big patriots. Most of them are full of it. And you can say that for a lot of the Democrats too. And there's a lot of political rot in Washington, D.C. The issue is, if I live in Michigan, you can look at different things I can run for. I can run for Congress. I could primary my Republican congressman. And, from what I understand, he spends all his time in Washington, D.C., and he's never in the district, and nobody really likes him. So I could primary him and probably win.
Do it.
Yeah, it's an idea. But then I'm in Congress. I don't know how much impact, how well I do in Congress. Then the next person running for election is Debbie Stabenow. And I don't know if she announced retirement or not. I can't remember. She's getting older, but she's a very powerful Democrat. She sits on the most powerful Senate committees. Senate might be difficult unless I can get a financial backer. Then the next other seat I'd be interested in would be the governor of the state of Michigan. And Michigan has a lot of corruption issues. I think they can be addressed, and it has a hollowing out of the middle class. And it's a giant state. I don't think people realize how big it is, but from my house to Detroit, it's like a 10-hour drive.
Jesus.
Yeah. So people don't really realize how large the state is. My portion of the state is the size of Iowa, and that's the upper peninsula. So it's a state in its own. So anyways, I don't know if I'm well suited to also if I'd be the best candidate to be governor of the state. I don't know if I understand all the issues well enough to be highly effective. I think I'd be okay. And I'm just giving an honest assessment here. I think I'd be more effective as a federal politician, because I understand all the federal systems, and I've worked with the federal government. I just haven't worked with the Michigan state government all that often or all that much. And unless you have knowledge of the system, how do you expect to improve it, objectively speaking? Some of the other states where I was really politically active, Minnesota, for example, I'd be perfectly comfortable stepping into state government there. And I have a number of contacts and people who are actually elected officials there. But, I don't live there. So, that's just not in the cards.
You should run to be a federal politician. Like, why the fuck not? Who, not even trying to be, football coach in the locker room, but like, why not? Like, you can get something done. Like, you clearly already are. I mean, dude, I interview people from my bedroom, and like 6 months later, I see them on Fox. Somebody tweeted at me yesterday, they're like, you should get this guy, Dr. Wang. Like, he was just on Fox. Like, Fox is really showing some balls. And I sent them a link back. I interviewed him 10 months ago. People were messaging me after like Dr. Malone and Dr. McCullough went on Rogan, and they're like, you got to have these guys on. And I'm like, I have, not only have they been on several times, I've been banned for 3 months already because I had them on before. But my point is if I can push the needle in my bedroom, just screaming at a camera like a psychopath, anyone can do anything. And you've already done so much. Why not? Why not go try to, I mean, fuck them. At the end of the day,
it also sounds like a terrible job. I mean,
no, sure it does. But
here's the other thing. I mean, it's and I talked with actually my psychologist about this, and good friends with him. He actually had known him for years. I had really bad PTSD when I got out of the military back in 2006, and so I became pretty good friends with this guy. And he lives by me now. And I said, what do you think about me running for office? I was just, as a sounding board, you'd be very objective. He's like, that was his first question he asked me. Well, do you want to do it? I go, no. He goes, what, do you feel obligated to do it in some way? I'm like, well, a little bit. And he's like, yeah, I think, you understand this stuff really well. You understand the government. But it's just, my biggest fear, I guess, of doing it is that, say you get elected and you get in and you can't form a coalition or anything, because it's too fragmented. And there's a number of, Tulsi Gabbard was one of those types. Justin Amash was another one of those. There have been a number of politicians over the years that couldn't get coalitions around good ideas. And then the status quo becomes the policy. And I can't think of any bigger, waste of your life or time. I'd really like to see campaign finance reform. I think it solves all the problems. I mean, I really truly believe that if you can get campaign finance reform passed, it at least gets rid of much of the influence on the system. But guess who doesn't want that? I mean, all the people who are paying the bills want a corrupt system. So how do you get that done unless you run for president and you make it a top policy objective and you say, I'm not going to sign any, you threaten to shut down the government and play real hardball, real nasty, and say, I'm, unless the House or Senate sends me a bill that's campaign finance reform, I'm shutting the government down. I mean, that's a pretty ballsy move to do as a president, but I think it's going to have to take someone with that kind of, I guess, willpower or strength, because otherwise this corrupt, broken system is going to keep playing the same way. And we've seen, if you watch the Supreme Court's behavior over the past 20 or 30 years, it doesn't matter if it were more liberal courts or more conservative courts, they've ruled in the side of allowing campaign finance money to flow. And all the landmark lawsuits have enabled that. So I don't see it changing unless there's a law passed. It's not going to happen. And unless that happens, then we're going to be in that same position. And I'm not trying to be, I'm not trying to be a pessimist about this either. I think I'm being realistic with how I assess the situation.
Yeah, no, sure. Absolutely. But I mean, even a failure is in itself a success, right? I mean, them, like, seeing how much, they completely stonewalled Trump and everyone just went rabid again, like demon under holy water. You might call that a failure, but I think that opened a lot of people's eyes to the uniparty when, like, the Bushes and the Clintons were condemning him. People are like, oh, the demons are condemning him. Something's up. You can kind of, it's like tripping an alarm system if you're a thief is still a success, because you did like a red cell team, like you figured out something. Even just went in there and just went, you just tweeted, just went full Trump and just like, like, these people are assholes, these are douchebags taking all your money. Like, yeah, you'll probably be out in a term, but I mean, you could flip some tables and shatter some glasses on your way out. Like, why not? Who gives a shit? It'd be kind of funny.
Yeah, I think Trump's biggest issue was that he didn't know how to be a diplomat or political domestically. And that was his death sentence. I mean, he knew how to get the media's attention. He knew how to steal the news cycle. He knew how to manipulate people to make them fly off the handle. And he knew how to do it at scale.
Yeah.
And all that was counter serving his ultimate goal, policy goals and agenda. And a man who's not wise enough to see that is dangerous in a way. And every time, once he was elected, there was a couple of speeches where I'm like, God, he looked really presidential here. This was great. We need more of that. And then, at the end, there was some, quip towards, throwing, Rosie O'Donnell under the bus or whatever.
I was about to say that.
What are you talking about? Like this, excuse me, this doesn't matter. We should, you don't need to punch down at these people anymore. You're not running for, and he never really effectively made that transition. And I can understand why people love him. I mean, I'm a big fan of a lot of his policies.
Sure.
I could see past that, but On the other hand, you have to realize that for a federal election for the president, there is a large constituency of people, a plurality that you have to appease. And not knowing that is sort of frightening in my opinion, because you can't win with it. You can't win and maintain power and achieve your policy objectives to goals with a simple majority. It can't. It takes a plurality, and you have to understand, what the levers are in those different communities and places around the country to get it done. Otherwise, you're just sitting there signing executive orders, and that's one of the most damning things that the U.S. government and I should say the executive branch has done, is this increasing number of executive orders signing by each subsequent administration. I mean, it's terrible. Ruling by executive order is not a way to govern a country. It's a way to create chaos and instability.
Yeah, I mean, no, I like Trump. I'm very open about that. But I mean, yeah, and like you said, like I can look past. People are like, Michael Jordan's an asshole. I'm like, if I own the Bulls, I don't care. Is he committing any crimes? Is he raping anybody? No, he's just an asshole. Keep bringing me the championships. I don't care. I don't care at all. Right. When you're looking at a country, you're looking at a global military force and the economy, I'm like, yeah, I don't really care if he's an asshole. Like, I just, whatever. He's had 3 ex-wives, and it's like Tim Dillon said, he's the most American man to have ever lived. He's got a fake tan, golden hair, and he lives in a golden penthouse in New York City and eats Big Macs on Air Force One. This is us. Like, you don't have to like it, man. That is us. That is our imprint. That is our fingerprint. And yeah, and I understood his, it is an impressive ability to steal news cycles and his ability to manipulate it and make people look insane. CNN wouldn't cover a terrorist attack, so he would say that there were 80 terrorist attacks last year, knowing full well there was 60, and CNN would come out and say there wasn't 80, there was 60, and now all of a sudden they're talking about terrorist attacks. And it was objectively, tactically, like, you got to respect it. And then some of his quips did serve that, but there were other times I'd be with like my uncle or something, and he'd be watching him and be like, good. He'd be like, no, just get off stage. Just get off stage. And then he'd be like, this senator's wife, she's a real ugly pig. And he'd be like, no, just like,
yeah, exactly. Why?
You have
Why?
it.
You don't need to do that.
You have it. Like, you're up by 40. Don't do it. Don't do a late hit. Don't go hang on the rim. Don't get the technical foul, you idiot. And it's like, that is like, some of it's tactic, sure. Some of it's you're like, this is hubris, this is ego. Is it just lack of intelligence? And you're like, that is bad. You got to know when to shut the hell up. But that being said, man, he made it that far. That's changing it forever. Like, no one can ever say, well, I can't be a politician because of my past. No one can ever say that anymore.
Oh, if you actually look back through American history, and if you ever go to the portrait gallery in Washington D.C., I highly recommend it, because they have a picture of each one of their official presidential portrait up. And you forget about some of these presidents who they were, because there's been a bunch, and unless you're some kind of super history nerd, you don't memorize every president. And then you pull out your phone and you start to look up their history, and there have been a lot of interesting sort of questionable characters that we've had leading the country, and especially before media spread so fast, it was probably much easier to have a false portrayal, and the mudslinging that they had and smearing and debates to almost flat out bribery of voters. Like, hey, come over here and get a ham off the truck and vote for Johnson.
Yeah,
that kind of thing used to happen.
It was insane. Lyndon Johnson used to take his dick out on Air Force One.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, he used to use. Yeah. There's a great book.
All right, somebody needs to fact check this now and put this on YouTube.
Oh no. There's a great book, and I need to find it. I think it's at my parents'. It's called Air Force One, and it's just all these little vignettes about. FDR had the first plane, and it was like a total piece of shit. The next one was Truman's, and it was called the Sacred Cow. Truman was nuts. Truman would fly over what I don't know what state he was from. He was a haberdasher or a farmer or something.
Wasn't he in Kansas or
I think something like that. Yeah,
Nebraska. I thought maybe
he would have the plane fly over where his like enemy senators were, and then you'd have him dump the septic tank. This is Harry Truman, like the guy that ended World War II. Did that. Like, LBJ would Yeah, no, he would take his dick out and he would call it jumbo. Apparently, he was well hung. He would like take steaks and throw it at stewardesses and stuff if it was just like a hair not how he wanted it cooked. Like he was nuts. Kennedy would get like shit faced and go to sleep, and his dog would just run up and down the aisles, but no one wanted to tell the dog to shut up because it was the president's dog. Like it was wild. Nixon loved, I think it was Nixon always loved to be told like what time it was in DC, what time it was where the plane currently was, and what the time was where they were landing. And so and he would just call people in all the time just to kind of do that, so that eventually they ended up putting like the three clocks in like the room. I think it was like Reagan had trouble sleeping, and so they put the president's room on the nose of the plane. I never thought about that, but it's to be ahead of the engine, so it's the quietest room.
Yeah.
Um, there's all sorts of stuff, these wild stories. But the point is most of them were nuts. Like most of them, like as you learn about, you mean LBJ? This is very well known. He used to give interviews while on the toilet. And it was just like his power move. Like you had to come sit in the room and be like, what do you think about?
No, that's a very old school military tactic.
Oh yeah, no,
Somebody
it'd be like, what do you
talk to
think?
you.
Yeah, what do you think about the like bombing in Hanoi? And he'd just be sitting there, pants around his ankles, just shit and looking you dead. And he's an intimidating guy. He's like 6'4", and he's just shitting and like, yeah, dude, like nuts. And yeah, so I don't think it's like that. All coming back
That's
to
a fact. I look at that differently. That's effective time management.
yeah, yeah. I think it absolutely is. But also, man, it's like once you look at that, you go, oh, I could do this. I mean, once you look at like Jeff Bezos serving hot dogs out of like a vendor stand on like the summer heat in like the 80s, and you're like, that guy's now worth like $500 billion, and you're like, oh, like really anything. You look at Tom Brady's like draft picture, and you're like, oh, anything's possible. That is the whitest, dumpiest guy. You're like, I could do that, right? I mean, Eminem's the best rapper. I mean, a guy named Marshall, a white guy named Marshall, is the best rapper. Like yeah, this is all good. This is my motivational speech to you. Like this, you need to run. Anyone can do this shit. Why not? Who gives a fuck? I mean, how much would it take? Not that I don't have any money, but how much
Oh
would
no, I haven't done the market research. A number of people have told me to run, but I think it's in the millions. I mean, you need to figure out how to get millions to do it.
I mean, I've interviewed like Joe Kent. Joe Kent's rerunning for Congress. I've interviewed Anthony Sabatini. I mean, I interviewed I can't remember his name, Mike. I don't remember what his last name is. He won in Georgia. I mean, these are guys that probably know how to do it. I don't know if they would be helpful. I mean, I could ask him like, what is the very process? I mean, Joe Kent's got, he's a former Green Beret, tattoos up his, he had long hair and a huge beard, and he had to clean it all up. Now he looks like a politician. Like, I mean, it can be done. I have 16,000 subscribers. So it's not a whole lot, but I mean, you got a platform. I mean, why not, man? Look, you should look it up, see how much it costs, and yeah, why not?
I'll report back. I'll do some
I'm
market
I'm
research.
I'm gonna bully you into this now. I know your military can kick my ass, but because we're far away, I can bully you because we're over a computer, and I'll hide, but and my door locks.
Welcome to 2023, where every man is twice as big because he sits behind a computer.
Yeah, I've tactically made the right move. I've interviewed and become friends with a lot of Delta Force guys, so now I can be a keyboard warrior, and they're like, no, like nobody fucks with Tom, and I just hide behind him like a little kid. I'm like, you can't fight him. He's Delta Force.
So
Yeah.
the next time you get one of your Delta Force buddies in the studio with you, just remember this: you hit first.
Okay.
This is my advice to you. You're going to get one shot. You go for the neck.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah. No,
You get one shot, and you got to catch them off guard.
They'll kill me. Yeah, no, they'll kill me. They taught me. I got to go shooting with them, and they were like teaching me how to shoot and shit. That was so much fun. Just using like 50 cal shooting through trees and shit, and you can just see
Oh
them.
yeah,
It's like
that's what I joke to people. It's like, oh, you're like, oh, I'm gonna go. People are like, oh, I got a new AR-15 or whatever kind of variant of it. They're like, I'm gonna go shoot this week. I'm like, do you want to come with me? No.
yeah,
Why? I'm like, I like explosives and machine guns. And
yeah,
they look at me and I'm like, really, I like explosives.
yeah.
And are you serious? I'm like, yeah, I'm dead serious. I'm like, I used to shoot those things all the time. And even like start to get excited with like a 50 caliber machine gun, and that's quite a bit of fun.
Modus
But
is fun. Yeah, Yeah, you
That's
get
also expensive when you're not in the military anymore. I mean, I used to fire through pallets of that crap, and now
yeah,
you pay that bill. That's a $50,000 range day.
yeah, yeah. No, well, we got to go out to one of my buddy's house who just has a gun collection from God, and yeah, you can never really go back to like, excuse me, you can never really go back to like shooting a 9mm at some indoor range when you've got to like shoot a microwave full of tannerite with like a 50 cal. It's
Oh
no,
yeah,
you can't. I,
mortars, mines, grenades,
yeah, I mean,
satchel charges. These things, when you use these things, you're just like, okay, this is next level. You fire a rocket or a missile, something shoulder fired. It's like, okay,
yeah, yeah. I mean, you can see that. There's my old gaming monitor, that little, I don't know, like 20-inch screen, and then there's the fuck. I don't know how to use. It's reversed, and then there's
yeah, I
the
see it.
gaming computer. You can't see it. Right when I moved into this new apartment, it was on Black Friday sale. So I got an 86-inch flat screen to play video games on. I can't ever go back. I've ruined myself. I can never go back. Even like a nice, flat screen. What I'm like, dude, unless it is like when I play Grand Theft Auto in first person and it's my hand is as big as the hand, you can never. It's the same shit. And not only that, it's like machine guns, and you have these like former like ground branch paramilitary guys telling you stories about everything, a belt fed M60, and they're not just saying, all right, aim here and walk it up. They're telling you, they're like, all right, when they're shooting at you and you want to blow their kneecaps out, and you're like, oh fuck, like this is nuts. Like, yeah, yeah, you can't really go back. I don't know how we got on Delta Force guys. No, yeah.
Yeah, well, we can have that. I'll have the in-person conversation with you about that kind of stuff sometime.
Oh god. Oh
We
god.
will get your other military guys around, and then you can see my old infantry self.
Hell
I'll
yeah.
let it out.
Hell yeah. No, that's how a lot of this would always come along. They'd be talking. They'd be like, Tom, we're gonna hang out one day and you'll hear some stories. I was like, why can't you tell me online? And then we hung out and I'm like, oh, that's why. That's why. Like there were legally binding issues, like both national and international. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot you guys worked for the agency. Like, oh, oh no, I get that. I get that. But on that perhaps legally actionable last segment, which is all fiction. Let's wrap this one up. I know I've kept you for oh shit, it's 1 o'clock. Kept twice as long as I told you I would. But
That's
really,
fine. I'm having fun.
yeah, yeah. I'm sorry about your hiccups.
It'll go away.
Yeah. Go yeah, man, if you're serious about it, go look up how much it would cost. And I'll send some emails. I can't guarantee absolutely anything, but I mean I'm fine with, wasting 10 minutes of my day. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Who cares? But if it
Sure.
does work, it could be really cool. Why not?
Well, thank you. I
Yeah,
appreciate
man.
that.
Yeah, who the fuck cares? Go for it. Why the fuck not? Like what? Go for it. Who cares, dude? Yeah,
Oh, yeah. I'll share some other thoughts I have. We're
yeah,
already way over time, but I mean, like, yeah, it's a time. It's a serious. I take it as a very serious commitment. I don't think other people take it that way.
yeah. No, I think you could do it though, man. I think the idea, it is very beneficial to the existing parasitic class that are almost reflexive response. I would say perhaps even Pavlovian by design, is that we look at it and go, oh, it's too corrupt. I won't be able to do anything. I'm just gonna be a cog in the machine. I think they want you to think that. It's the same thing as censorship. They want you to feel alone. They want you to feel like you're the only one questioning it. You're the only one scared of an experimental jab. They want you to feel alone. It's complete psychological warfare. I think they want you to think that the machine is untouchable. You're gonna go there and just be another Congress. I think they want you to think that because the reality is like you really can go in there and fuck shit up. And that's kind of what makes this place awesome, is like a bunch of colonial, Irish, English, fucking mountain people drinking whiskey with no teeth and muskets took on the British. Like there's a frat boy kind of barbaric bare knuckle like history. Like that is what we are from. Yeah. Like who cares? Go for it.
Bunch of hillbillies.
Yeah, exactly.
essentially.
But truly,
Just different, like down south, maybe swamp people,
yeah,
but
no,
up
yeah.
north,
I live
hillbillies, same kind of thing.
all my family's in like northern New Hampshire. I lived in southern Georgia. No, across the board, like that is America. Is like like a guy I knew in college named Grant who had a pet deer with a dog collar named Jesus and an alligator with a dog collar named Elvis. And they both responded to him, Jesus, Elvis, get in here. And like he had a old Cadillac with no windshield, and that was what he used to drive around the farm. Like that's America. That's America. Grant,
That's true.
yeah, like what he had a deer skinning factory. He's like, you know how you shoot puppies? And I was like, how? He's like, you put peanut butter on the gun. And I was like, what the fuck? And he's like, some people don't get their dogs neutered and they got to put it. I'm like, that's
Yeah.
America though. Like that is just like Trump. Like love it or hate it, that's the mirror reflection. So yeah, man, go go for it. It doesn't work, whatever. It doesn't work. It'll make a great episode. Um,
All right, I'm gonna remember your peanut butter tip.
Yeah, if you ever that's how you shoot him. He's like, you charge $1 a bullet. He's like, you make a good little profit. And I was just like, there's nothing behind your eyes, Grant. That you're just blackness. And but no, there
All
was.
right,
He was just a realist. But yeah.
all right,
Let's not
Tommy. On that note, I'm out of here.
on that note, shooting puppies. That Senator Huff. Could you maybe bring this up? Senator Huff. He once said that he wanted to shoot puppies. Like vote Smith in 2028. Whatever. Whatever. All right, dude. Let's wrap this one up. I'll email you. Do look into it. Seriously, look into it. Email me. I'll send emails, and we'll see if something cool can happen. And if not, whatever. Thank you so
Sounds
much,
good.
guys. Go follow him. Go grab the book, The Truth About Wuhan. Go follow him on Twitter. And yeah, till next time, brother. Thank you so much.